It's kind of wild when you think about it, right? How one single simple invitation can create this massive ripple effect, spreading out and changing, well, everything. Today, we're going to dive into one of the most powerful invitations ever made. It's a story about how one encounter led to another, and then another, in this amazing chain reaction that's still going on today. So everything kicks off with this really direct question. The very first one Jesus asks in the Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 38, what are you seeking? It's a question that just cuts right to the heart of what we want, what we're looking for, and it's the perfect starting point for the story we're about to unpack. Okay, so check this out. The whole thing gets started with this one powerful declaration. It's from a man named John the Baptist, and you can find it in John chapter 1, verse 36. He sees Jesus walking by, and he just points and says this. He's pointing away from himself, putting the spotlight completely on someone else. And that was the spark. And you know, the effect is just immediate. Two of John's own followers hear what he says, and without missing a beat, they turn and literally start walking after Jesus. Their curiosity is through the roof. You can almost feel this huge shift happening in that one moment. This leads us right into their first and absolutely crucial conversation. This is from John chapter 1, verses 38 and 39. Jesus turns around and hits them with that same deep question. What are you seeking? But look at how they answer. They don't get all philosophical. They ask something really practical, really personal. Rabbi, where are you staying? See, they wanted a connection, not just some abstract answer. And Jesus' response, just three simple words, come and see. And by the way, when they called him rabbi, that was a big deal. It wasn't just a casual title. It meant my teacher or master. They were showing him huge respect right from the get-go, signaling that they were ready to learn from him. Okay, so here's where we see that first ripple start to spread. That one invitation immediately sets off another one. We learned that one of those two disciples was a guy named Andrew. And after spending just one day with Jesus, he is so blown away, so convinced that the first thing he does is go find his brother. And listen to the certainty in his voice here. He doesn't say, hey, I think I found someone interesting. No way. He makes this absolutely incredible declaration to his brother Simon, recorded in John chapter 1, verse 41, we have found the Messiah. And get this, that's the conclusion he came to after just a few hours. And we really have to pause and understand the weight of this word, Messiah. It comes from the Hebrew word Mashiach, which means the anointed one. This was the person the entire nation of Israel had been waiting for centuries. Their promised king, their deliverer. So yeah, this was not a small claim. So what Andrew does here is amazing, because he basically gives us a playbook, a simple, powerful, repeatable pattern. Step 1, he has a personal experience. He doesn't just hear a sermon, he hangs out with Jesus. Step 2, his priority is his family. He goes right to his brother. Step 3, he makes a crystal clear declaration. And finally, step 4, he doesn't just tell his brother about Jesus, he actively brings him to Jesus. And the ripple doesn't stop there, not even close. The very next day, Jesus calls another guy, Philip. And what do you think Philip does? Exactly what Andrew did. He immediately goes and finds someone he knows, a man named Nathanael. Now, Philip is smart about this. He frames his discovery in a way that he knows will connect with Nathanael. We see it in John chapter 1, verse 45. He says, we have found him, of whom Moses in the law and also the prophets wrote, Jesus of Nazareth. He's basically saying, hey, you know that guy the entire Bible has been pointing to for hundreds of years? Yeah, we found him. But here's where the story hits a snag, a big one actually, skepticism. In John chapter 1, verse 46, Nathanael shoots back with this pretty cynical question. You see, Nazareth was this tiny, looked down upon town. It was a nobody town. And he just can't wrap his head around the idea that the long-awaited Messiah could come from a place like that. Now, what Philip does next is just brilliant. And it's what he doesn't do that's so important. He doesn't get into a big debate about Nazareth's reputation. He doesn't try to argue Nathanael out of his prejudice. His response is so much simpler and so much more powerful. He just drops the exact same 3 words Jesus used, right there in John chapter 1, verse 46. Come and see. He trusts that a personal encounter with Jesus will be way more convincing than any argument he could ever make. He's just passing on the invitation, letting Nathanael find out for himself. And this is it. This is the moment of truth. The skeptic, Nathanael, actually agrees to go. And now he's about to come face to face with this man from Nazareth that he's so sure can't be anyone important. As Nathanael is walking up, Jesus says something that just stops him dead in his tracks. From John chapter 1, verse 48, "Before Philip called you, when you were under the fig tree, I saw you." This is a moment of pure godly insight. Jesus saw him in a private moment, maybe a time of prayer or deep thought, seeing not just where he was, but straight into his heart. And boom, just like that. In that one moment of being truly seen, all of Nathanael's skepticism, all that prejudice, it just melts away. It's replaced by one of the most incredible declarations of faith in the whole story, right there in John chapter 1, verse 49. He goes from total skeptic to passionate believer in an instant. Okay, so this is an amazing story, right? But it's so much more than that. It's a blueprint. So let's break down why this simple come and see method is so powerful and why it still works today. Let's actually put these two approaches side by side because the difference is night and day. On the left, you've got the come and see method. Its focus is on a personal experience, not winning some kind of propositional argument. It's an invitation to investigate for yourself, not a demand for blind faith. And it's all about a relational connection, not confrontational pressure. It's a total game changer. You know, the best way to think about it is like a social network, but an ancient one. It's not about blasting a message to a crowd. It's about one genuine, trusted friend telling another friend. Andrew finds Peter. Philip finds Nathanael. It's organic. It's built on real relationships. So if we were to boil it all down, the core principles are super clear. This method is deeply personal. It invites people to do their own genuine investigation. It's relational, not confrontational. And this is so important. It honors the seeker's journey. It meets people exactly where they are, skepticism and all. And in the end, it relies on the power of testimony, of saying, this is what I've experienced, not on clever tactics. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. What if the most powerful, most world-changing invitation out there isn't about winning a debate, but it's simply about sharing an experience and having the confidence to say to someone, come and see,